I've had the strangest recollection. I think I've had another past life recessive memory emerge. Nikola Tesla, his real name was Henrik von Braun, and he was shot and killed by the Rothschild-run banking guild for his research notes. A government man who was head of his protection service had set the whole thing up, but he knew and had suspected this guy had bad intentions and didn't trust him, even as far as hiding some of his research someplace he didn't have access to. The government, someone within the department I took a chance on. I gave him the location of my hidden notes and diagrams. I was working on centrifugal propulsion energy generators, hydroelectric power stations, arc, and I think I was addicted to opium or morphine. It alleviated my mind and let me think beyond the confines of the human mind, a habit picked up in my earlier years. I think I tried to quit many times. That's why I locked myself away from the public. It wasn't schizophrenia. I had a process, I would say, a method to my discoveries, these research papers I've been working on. The centrifugal energy propulsion, hydroelectric energy, but I was delaying the project because I thought it should be free, but the investors wanted to make money from it. They invested heavily into the project, bailed me out of debt after debt with loans. He died with a sorrowful heart in hopes of seeing his love from his youth again. I doubt the world ever knew the truth of what happened, considering the wealth and power of his enemies at the time. Hell, they owned more than the banking industry. They owned their mob, the police, the unions, and everyone around you. And there was a man, the Shadow Man. He said he would ensure that my research would come to fruition. I told him unless he had the investors that would fund a scientist with a bunch of half-finished research and a head full of ideas, then he could stand in line with the rest of them. He said not to worry about investors. He could make that all happen. I then suspected he was another goon sent by the banking guild. He said he wasn't connected to them at all. All I needed to do was sign his contract and stick to the deal, and he would make it all happen one day. He said he wanted me to write down this encounter so that his investors had evidence he was here and file the footnotes of my research away along with the story of our encounter. Then he apologized for something he said was in the cards. What he wanted, though, he said, to make this all happen, his inventions, his dreams, free for the world to see and know the truth of without someone trying to make a quick buck off of it, was my soul. Then he explained what that meant and what his intentions were. I remember it was storming that night, and as he left I asked the Shadow Man why he wanted to help me, and he said because we are two birds who come from the same nest. Then he said goodbye and that we would never meet again, and then he left. Looking back on it all, I wonder, did that radio station broadcast, the Shadow, come from all this? I guess we'll see now, won't we? 'Cause in the end, it was this encounter that got Nikola Tesla killed. His investors thought he had taken another group's offer and was backing out of their deal. For his betrayal, they had him killed and hunted for his new investor, but high and low they searched for this elusive Shadow Man. They never found him. Accusations within the mob of a rival family trying to undermine them soon erupted, and a mafia war broke out over it. All this mayhem and carnage, but the Shadow still remained unidentified until now. He became a Spock story the cops would threaten mobsters with. Talk or else the Shadow Man will come for you and make you a deal you can't refuse. I wonder if this legend is where prosecutors came up with the idea of a plea bargain. Oh, the injustice of those damn things. How better to get an innocent man to confess his guilt than to muscle him and threaten to destroy his life, but give him the dignity of mercy by allowing him some freedom while still making him pay for the crime. Yes, the plea bargain gives the people who set you up the satisfaction of destroying your life and any hope for a good-paying job. It allows the system of justice to classify you as guilty of the crime without you having to admit your guilt with their no contest plea, and you get to walk away with some bargained scraps of freedom and the sense of having just been morally raped by the system they call justice. But hey, at least you can walk away and say you never said you were guilty of what they accused you of, right? How many out there have been in a relationship with a vindictive control freak, someone who you know is going to cause a lot of drama when you tell them it's not working between you and them? Now how many of you have suspected they would go as far as setting you up, lying to the police, frame you with a situation, or start an argument with the intention of putting you in jail, and the length they would go to do this, be it slipping something into your food, paying a hooker to come onto you to give them the guilt-free reason to start the argument, or even go as far as sleeping with you and then claiming they told you no, all just to set you up and destroy any chance at ever having a life beyond them for revenge. I've seen every example I listed here. So you tell me, how does that plea bargain sound amidst such injustice in society? They claim their system of justice is sound. Well, I say it's rotten to the core, and there is a place in hell for them, but waiting for hell does nothing to stop the injustice of their system or the suffering of the. Why did people deny practicing magic, witchcraft, when they were arrested for it? Did they have any other options? Why are people being arrested for using magic? Here where I live last I knew we have the freedom of religion, and we cannot be arrested or persecuted simply for our beliefs or practices as long as it does not disturb the general public in a violent way. People here are free to believe what they choose to. However, it is the public and zealots who demand that their belief or religion they claim is right, and they gather people together by preaching words of scripture to gain their trust and then turn them against those who they say are ungodly. They ridicule them and defame their character, making them out to be a pestilence on society. They aggravate these groups and make war against their lives and leave them to suffer the injustice of their convictions against them, often citing these people to bring harm to them and sometimes even death. It's at that point that these people feel they have no option, which is more common today than ever. Subliminal influences in your digital entertainment using sound wave frequencies to cause the rise and fall of your emotional balance, subduing your free will with controlled response behaviors. Chemically altering your food supplies to maintain a docile public that maintains their overall agenda is not disturbed by the general public. These factors contributes to why no one cares or dares to stand up, because they do not see the truth, only the truth they are allowed to see and believe. And those that do rise up do so because they want them to, and they have no control or even knowledge of the means in which it's being done. Scoff at this if you want, but ask yourself something: what kind of effects would growth hormones and other chemicals used to feed their animals in the slaughterhouses have on a bipolar person? And with those chemicals already being fed into your meat supplies and poultry products, what else? And how easy would it be for just a simple local gang member to infiltrate these markets and slip something in with the other chemicals already being laced into them? But don't take my word for it. Here, let the news tell you instead.
Funny and funny and oh so delish, they're joyful and jolly joker-fish.
Say, Mom, wondering what to feed the family tonight?
What'll I feed the family tonight?
Arr, try me famous joker fish. They're smiling smelt, giggling grouper, and happy haddock. Yummy, yum, yum. Eat it.
Mr. J, I have this little problem with fish. Yummy, yum, yum.
Yes, friends, that's joker fish. Tasty, tempting, and of course,
naturally low in cholesterol.
coming to your local store just as soon as that nasty old
New and improved Joker products with a new secret ingredient. Smiley.
Might want to put that box of Cheerios back on the shelf if you're interested in your health. A staggering 4 out of 5 Americans are being exposed to a dangerous chemical linked to reduced fertility, altered fetal growth, and delayed puberty. Those chemicals are reportedly on a huge number of popular oat-based foods in America, including Cheerios and Quaker Oats. In a study of the chemical chlormequat, sorry if I mispronounced that, published in Nature magazine, the presence of the chemical in urine samples collected from people in the U.S. with detection frequencies of 69, 74, and 90% for samples collected in 2017, 2018 to 2022, and 2023 respectively. Chlormequat was detected at low concentrations in samples from 2017 through 2022, with a significant increase in concentrations for samples from 2023. We also observed high detection frequencies of chlormequat in oat-based foods. So unfortunately, the latest example, Jessica, of our food supply literally being poisoned. We have so much processed food in America now that contains all of these chemicals that they claim are for shelf life stability, for the ability of these foods to be preserved for a longer period of time so they don't go bad as quickly. But it turns out that as we get more science on this topic, that a lot of these chemicals are obviously not good for our bodies. And I don't think it's any coincidence that we've seen a...
What is it? Now, let's go over to our blind taste test.
Love that Joker.
Where's it coming from?
I don't know.
Uh-oh. You don't look happy. He's been using Brand X. But with new Joker brand, I get a grin again and again.
Control most of the supply, and one of them is owned by a pair of corrupt Brazilian brothers who have been facing all kinds of indictments and charges related to their corrupt practices. That's JBS out of Brazil, and years ago had been accused of having basically tainted the meat supply and ended up getting a bunch of people sick.
That luscious tan, those ruby lips and hair color, so natural, only your Undertaker knows for sure. I know what you're saying. Where can I get these fine new items? Well, that's the gang. Chances are you bought them already.
Love that Joker.
So remember, put on a happy face.